Hey, I've got about 10 minutes before my next call. What's this idea about the sales training?
Well, we want to create some scenario-based learning.
I'm sure it's engaging, but our completion rates are already strong. What's the actual problem we're solving?
All right, let's get started. So welcome to the session. We will be building an AI-powered simulation inside of Storyline from scratch, and we are going to turn on voice mode. So this is the first time we are seeing voice mode inside of Storyline, where learners can interact with an AI-powered character just by talking to it and hearing some lifelike responses, and it can change storyline variables, do all sorts of cool stuff. So I'm very excited to show this off to you. Again, if you're new to the devlin.ai simulation builder, I've been working on this tool to make it easy for instructional designers to add AI-powered practice inside of the tools they already use. So Storyline's the big one, but you can add what we're going to build inside of Rise, directly inside of your LMS, inside of any other authoring tools. It's just an iframe, so it's really easy to move these simulations wherever you need them. So we're about to dive in. Before we do, we need to figure out what we're actually going to build here, right? So we're going to do a poll, and you all are going to help me decide what we're actually building. So there's been no prep for this. We're going to do this all from scratch. I know y'all like those sessions usually. So I'm sharing the poll now. Who should we help? That is the question of the day. Are we going to help call center agents handle an angry customer? Are we going to help new managers deliver tough feedback? Are we going to help instructional designers pitch scenario-based learning to their boss? Are we going to help project managers push back on scope creep from a stakeholder? Or are we gonna do something random, right? We have an AI wizard that can generate the simulation. I've had it generate random stuff a lot, and it can come up with some pretty cool stuff, like interviewing a fusion food car chef or interviewing a lifelong like hostage crisis negotiator. It's come up with some pretty cool ideas. So don't want to oversell the random piece because who knows where that will take us. But Let's see where we're going. Results all across the board. The leader right now is helping IDs pitch scenario-based learning to their boss. So that's very meta, I guess you could say. It's like, okay, y'all want to build this? How are we pitching it to the decision makers? All right, so it looks like we have a winner. We are going to help instructional designers pitch scenario-based learning to their boss. And I'm gonna be relying on you all. So I'm gonna be looking at the chat. You're gonna be helping me make some design decisions as we go. And we also have Sabrina Gonzalez with us here. She is going to be the designer in the wings, if you will. So you might have seen some of her AI-powered visuals. She can spin them up super quickly, and they're very immersive. So Sabrina is here. She's behind the scenes. We have a Google Drive link a Google Drive folder we're going to be sharing. And so, yeah, Sabrina might be asking some questions in the chat or sharing some of her resources as well. And we can be pulling those into our Storyline course. So she'll be here to help out as well. So this is going to be a very collaborative group effort. Who's ready to get started? We're gonna help some instructional designers pitch scenario-based learning, and y'all are welcome to follow along. So I'm going to share this link. Everyone can create simulations of their own for free. So I just shared a link to sign into devlin.ai. You can just sign in with your Google account. That's going to be the fastest. You'll get a bunch of free credits, and you can follow along if you want. So we're gonna do this together. Time for screen sharing to begin, and let's dive in. Okay, so here I am inside of devlin.ai. Right, yeah, we're running the founders pricing. I want to make sure that's on your radar. That ends tomorrow, but you can create sims, have dozens, if not 100 conversations for free. So once you're in, it will bring you right to the new simulation screen if it's your first time logging in. Otherwise, here, let me zoom in a little bit too. Otherwise, click this new sim button right here. Once we do that, we are going to actually describe this simulation. So this is where I'm going to lean on y'all for some help, okay? So what should we call it? So scenario pitching, right? So we're pitching scenario-based learning. Who is the learner, right? Instructional designers who are passionate about creating scenario-based learning, but they don't have buy-in yet from their manager. Is that who we're pitching? Do we want to pitch a manager? Or are we pitching someone higher up? Should we just leave it vague and say their boss? Yeah, is this zoomed in enough, Teresa? Or do we need to go? We can zoom in even further. Let's do this. To company-wide stakeholders, to boss. Executives. All right, welcome, Becky. Nice seeing you here. We've got a lot of options. Okay, we'll see what the AI comes up with. Okay, we'll just leave it at boss, since I guess that's what everyone voted on initially. Describe the simulation. Okay, now we have 10,000 characters to work with here. So we're gonna basically describe what we're going for, and then AI is gonna work and actually generate something for us here. So let's describe it, right? Should we get super meta and make it like we're trying to use this simulation builder, or just keep it around scenario-based learning in general that you can build with like any tool? Scenario-based. Okay, good. So the simulation is the learner, an instructional designer, wants to create a more engaging scenario-based learning, so that they can help the audience that they support. Who do we support to? We want to help them perform better, but in this scenario, right, we're an instructional designer. Should we say that we're supporting a specific job role? Are we supporting salespeople? Are, customer service? Yeah, we do a lot of customer service examples, but that's nice and approachable. Call center. Now, I see 2 votes so far for call center, so we might stick with that. Overcoming objections. So sales enablement or call center. Sales, okay, sales breaking ahead. All right, sales is winning. Let's do that. So they can help the audience that they support perform better. The instructional designer supports salespeople, and they think that scenario-based learning will help the salespeople drive more or handle conversations with potential clients better and close more deals, right? That's the idea. What else do you want to add here? Should we do anything to spice this up, make it a bit more engaging? Let's talk about the boss, right? Let's give the boss a personality. So the boss is super budget conscious, and hesitant to update their tool set. From the boss's perspective, their current information-heavy e-learning courses work well. Oh, okay, good idea, Alejandro. So he had his team 5 years ago tried scenario-based learning, but it didn't go well. It took way too long to create. What else happened with it? It took too long. Good call. Where did I say that? Their team, right? We're not gonna gender this person. The boss can definitely. Let's do she. Her team. Good catch. Thank you. Tool set. All right. It took way too long to create. What else was the problem with scenario-based learning? Read only. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was expensive. Yeah, it was expensive. And the whole team wasn't on board, right? Maybe that. Ensuring that the full information is there in the e-learning feels way safer. Okay, yeah, she wants more evidence that scenario-based learning actually helps people perform better. Okay, what about should we say anything else about her personality? Like just to, because we might want these like mood changes to be going on. She thinks linear learning is better. Y'all are providing some great content for this. This is going to be she likes graphics. She loves graphics. The boss loves graphics in e-learning. This is definitely getting a little more funny. But she is also very data driven. Okay, I like that. Mayer's multimedia principles. She can justify the graphics. She is super busy. And if this feels like a sales pitch from her employee, she is going to get frustrated and impatient. And if/when the boss does think that scenario-based learning may be a good option, she thinks about using an external consultant instead of relying on the instructional designer, who is actually perfectly capable. Okay, are we feeling good about this? Do we want to add anything else here? I think we... Oh, she thinks about using an external consultant or vendor to purchase it off the shelf. That's a good idea. ROI. She is also heavily reassured by ROI, knowing that a new solution can... Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. The AI will know what we're talking about. That's good. Okay, great. Yeah, great call about the ROI. Okay, are we ready to generate this thing? We have 1,400 characters. I think this is going to create a pretty interesting character who loves graphics, but also data. That was a good detail. So Kevin, 10,000 characters is just how many characters we can add. It's definitely not a requirement. So let's generate it. Let's see what happens. So this takes about 35 to 45 seconds or so. And what's happening here is the AI is bringing this character and the simulation to life. So it's going to fill in all of the gaps. It knows the best way to fill out all of the fields inside of this tool, which as the designers, we can of course manually configure ourselves, but you know, it's easier to let the AI do it. The 10,000 limit is arbitrary, basically. Just wanted to kind of give people some guardrails, but we're going to update this so that you can incorporate knowledge bases in the future and draw from knowledge bases to generate sims. Okay, so now it shows us this text-based simulation. A lot of y'all may have seen this before, and we see how the character starts, right? I've got about 10 minutes before my next call. What's this idea about the sales training? Uh-oh, what are we going to say about this? And yeah, that's how easy it is to make, right? We describe it, we get it working. Well, we need to splice up our info dumps. Surely the boss will love this, right? Our completion rates are 91%, so I'm not sure spicing things up is the problem we need to solve. What's the actual business issue here? Okay, focus on that ROI, not trying to waste any time. So there we go. And yeah, well, good question, Kevin. We'll do questions at the end, but I'll let y'all know my roadmap towards the end about where these things are headed. But let's continue to the editor. So that's the AI character. We can turn on voice mode. And here's what we came up with, right? We're talking to Diane. Diane is our direct manager and a 12-year L&D director, okay, great, who built her team's reputation on polished, information-rich e-learning. All right, so her reputation is built on this. She's methodical, budget protective, and mildly skeptical when employees pitch changes that cost money or time. Yeah, let's do voice mode, right? You guys are right. We're not going to read all of this. Let's jump into the fun stuff. So I'm going to turn on real-time voice mode right here. And what voice do we want to do? Sarah, mature, reassuring, confident. Let's hear this one.
The years teach much which the days never know.
How does this sound? Let's do this one. We could test other ones, right? Laura, let's see.
Our distrust is very expensive.
Alice.
Just trust yourself. Then you will know how to live.
Lily.
I have never been hurt by anything I didn't say.
Yeah, I think Sarah was good. That
the years teach much
Sarah
which
well,
the days never know.
Okay, so now we're going to save this and let's demo it. Y'all want to see voice mode in action? We're going to bring it into storyline, but I know y'all want to see how it actually sounds. So I'm just going to open this up in a new tab and we're going to test it out right here.
Hey, I've got about 10 minutes before my next call. What's this idea about the sales training?
Well, the idea is that we could create something a bit more scenario-based so that the salespeople could get a better feel of what it's like to actually perform on the job, but in a nice risk-free environment.
I'm sure that sounds engaging, but our completion rates are already at 91%. What's the actual problem we're solving here?
We want to focus on revenue, right? The completion rates are amazing. I think that's, an industry leading number. So yeah, I think what we have is working well, but I think we can push it even further, right? Maybe incorporate these scenarios into our existing e-learning so that the employees can feel more comfortable on the job and actually drive those business metrics up.
Which business metrics specifically? Because I haven't seen anything that ties our current training to a performance gap.
Okay, how are we feeling about that? So I see some questions in the chat about voice mode not being enabled. This isn't a public rollout yet. So I've been actively developing this till like midnight last night, like up until right before this event. So there's still some bugs I need to work out. We have like a few beta testers who are in there already, but this is just a demo, right? I didn't even know if I was going to get this to this point before this live session. So we're rolling this out soon. I think I can roll it out with, in May. But yeah, right now it is not a public rollout. So text mode you can all use. Voice mode, as you saw, is going to be one checkbox you can use to turn it on later. But right now I'm just demoing it. Hope that makes sense. But yeah, so what did y'all think about the character? How do y'all feel about this? About the timing? Can you imagine this kind of working well inside of an e-learning course? Are we ready to bring it into Storyline? Engaging? Yeah, I've been practicing with it a lot. It's definitely a different feel than the text-based mode. So, and then I saw a question about where the information is coming from. So the information is coming from all of this. It's what we just generated with AI. It's the same exact content and character that powers text mode. The same content, just spoken instead of the other. And yeah, we can of course change the personality, right? We could say for character instructions, we could say start aggressive and angry, for example, and it would sound very different. So I'm going to look at the publishing tab. And I'm looking at this Storyline 360 section right here. So this is where it tells this Diane mood variable to change inside of Storyline. So I'm going to go into Storyline. Let's get started, okay? We want to bring a character to life. So here we are. I just opened up Storyline. I'm on a blank slide, a blank screen, new project. I'm going to save it. We'll call this one Pitching SBL. And we'll want to zoom in a little bit. We're in a 16:9 aspect. Oh no, let's get to a 16:9 aspect ratio. So I'm going to go to the design tab, go to slide size. I'm going to change it to 16:9. So here we have it. Now I want to add a character. So I'm going to go to the insert tab, add a character here. And let's pick one. Do we want to do illustrated or photorealistic? All right. Wow, very mixed. I think I might be seeing a little more photo. I think photorealistic is winning. But, not a super high consequence decision. Who should our manager be? Any requests? Oh, let's do business casual. Mary, someone said. Y'all have some favorite Storyline characters? Mary? Schaefer, Sarah, Gianna, Sarah. Sorry, I know this isn't the most. Yeah, let's do Sarah. She's the first one on the list. Schaefer, where is she? Oh, a lot of votes for Schaefer. Yeah, I could see that. Schaefer. Y'all are all over the place. Sarah doesn't look angry enough. Yeah, Schaefer's got some attitude. Maybe let's go with Schaefer. All right, let's do this. So I like making the character like, waist height, pretty big on the screen, so we can really feel that immersion, right? I don't usually like doing full body. Okay, good. So let's do that. So now we want to add some states. So this is the default state. So here's what I would do. Let's look at what the AI came up with. So we have impatient, skeptical, engaged, and open. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the states, and I'm going to start adding them. So I'm going to, in case y'all are new to Storyline, right, click on the character, click on states, click on this edit states button, and then click on this new state button. And we'll call this one impatient. Okay, so we've added an impatient state. We're going to add skeptical, engaged, and open. Skeptical, engaged, and open. Okay, so we've got all of these. Now we need to actually make them look good, right? So what should this character look like when she is impatient? That's a pretty good skeptical one right there, I would say. No, let's see, reacting. We've definitely got some good options here. And yes, this is being recorded, so no pressure to follow along right this second. I mean, this one's really, really screaming impatient. Top row number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, y'all were onto something with Schaefer. These are amazing. Should this be impatient? It's like, you can't be serious right now. Okay, I like this one. This is funny. Skeptical. Does she already look somewhat skeptical? This is amazing doing it together. Y'all are really finding the best ones. We need skeptical now, though. Is this one skeptical? We like this one. It's like, are you actually serious? Oh, these are amazing. These are amazing. Okay, engaged. Let's do a positive one. That's not exactly engaged. How about this one? This is over the top engaged. Arms crossed. Yeah, I don't want to have arms crossed while it's open. It's okay. We can always fine tune this later. I know y'all want to get into the actual fun stuff. And then let's change the default pose. So what should her pose be? Is this a good default? Just like, kind of closed off. Yeah, this is a good default. And then I don't really love how the arms are going off the screen, so maybe we should move the character over a little bit. Oh no. These aren't as nice and centered as the illustrated one. So she's going to be like jumping around the screen. In an ideal world, right? Like I would balance these a little bit better. I don't know if y'all want me to spend a ton of time on that probably, right? But like I almost can't help myself. So y'all see what I'm doing while I'm editing the states. I'm just trying to line up, make them a bit more centered, so it's not going to be such a aggressive jump. I might have overshot that. Yeah. Come on, it's not letting me. So yeah, this is the curse of being a bit too much of a perfectionist when it comes to the e-learning, but I think it's going to make it feel more immersive when she's not like jumping around. They don't have to be perfect. Okay, yeah. Let me just finish this up. I know y'all don't want to watch me try to make things pixel perfect for 5 minutes. Okay, good. So I think we're in a good spot. Let me just move her back over so we have room. Okay, almost perfect. All right, there we go. Any background requests? Should we also look? Let's see if Sabrina has cooked anything up for us yet. Okay, so Sabrina, our designer in the wings, has prepared for us the boss's office and a conference room. Okay, so we've got some options here. Where do we want to have the meeting? Are we getting called into the boss's beautiful editorial office? Office, I agree. Okay, thank you for that, Sabrina. And now let's bring it in. So I'm just going to bring in, wrong one, AI features. We'll go to downloads. We'll add the boss office. All right, we should probably fade this out a little. We could change the opacity a little bit. But again, I know that's not what y'all are most concerned about. So let's just keep this moving along. I'm going to hop back over here to the simulation builder. And let's embed this inside of Storyline now. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this voice variant link. There's one down here as well, but for now, voice is the same, whether it's standalone or embedded. And so now how we add this is we insert a web object. So I'm going to insert and web object. Where are you? Here we are. And then I'm just going to paste this link here and click on OK. So now this is where our simulation will appear. Right, and so for voice mode, we don't really need to type anything into it, but there will be a transcript that we can view. What did I copy? Yeah, good question. So for text mode, well, how about this? So when you're publishing in Storyline, we're actually going to want to go through this a bit more step by step, right? We're going to scroll down. We're going to see which variables it's changing in Storyline. We'll need to wind up creating those. We'll do that in a bit. These are all some storyline variables that I can change too. So like when the simulation is complete, it lets you know in storyline, it lets you know when the eval is complete. It lets you show some feedback inside of storyline as well as the pass fail and the score. And then here is where that implementation guide is. So this is like the step-by-step how to actually add it to storyline. So for the voice variant, I copied this one. For y'all, you'll be using the text variant until voice goes live to your account. So I copied the voice one. We have it in here now. This should be good. It's going to look kind of all out of place because like this is the branding. So that's all something we could change in the visual editor later. But we want to actually get this working. So let's start creating some storyline variables. So I'm going to create a Diane mood variable. I clicked on the variable manager over here on the right, and I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm going to call it Diane mood. It will be a text variable, and we will leave it blank by default. So our AI simulation will be able to update this variable in real time based on the character's mood. And yeah, of course, this replay will be available after the session. So we don't really need all these other ones, right? If we just want to see if this is working, let's just not add these ones yet. Okay, we just want to see if we can get our mood changing. I'm sure y'all wanted to get to the good stuff. So then we have to add a single JavaScript trigger to our course. So I'm going to click on this copy button right here in step 3 of the implementation guide, and I'm going to create a new trigger, and it's going to execute JavaScript. I'm going to click on right here to change the JavaScript and paste in that single line I just copied. Click OK. And we're going to do that when the timeline starts on this slide. So this JavaScript is essentially the bridge between the iframe that we added and the storyline course itself. So that JavaScript is what lets the simulation update the storyline variables. And now I'm going to create some triggers. So the simulation can update the storyline variables, but as of right now, it's not actually changing those states for us. So we need to create triggers to change those states. So I'm going to create a new trigger. It's going to be a change state. Oh, whoops. We're going to have to click on the action section. Change state of character 1 to state engaged when the variable changes Diane mood. Right, so the AI is updating the variable. We want to change the character to engaged when that variable changes, as long as Diane mood is equal to engaged. And we know what to set that to because over here in our editor, we see that's what the AI came up with when we first generated this. We could, of course, add as many values as we want. We could change these, but we'll just use the default. So engaged. Now we'll just copy and paste this trigger we just created. So I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it. And this time I'm going to change her state to impatient when the variable changes, if the variable is equal to impatient. Is this a familiar pattern for you all? Like, updating states based off of variables. I'm going to paste it again. This time I'm going to change it to open when the value changes if it's equal to open. Okay, yeah, very familiar to you all. Good. And if you're new, don't worry. This is a pattern that you pick up pretty quickly as you work more in storyline. And then we will change it to skeptical when the variable changes if our mood is equal to skeptical. All right, so this should work now. Should we check it out? I don't think I'm missing anything. We have all of the essentials. So let's check it out. Let's see if it works. We're going to publish this. I will publish it to review so I can open it on the Mac side because my mic doesn't pass through to this Windows computer I'm controlling, in case you've realized that. We're controlling a Windows computer inside of a Mac. It will not work in preview. It will work as a local publish for now. So here we go. Let's open it up and articulate review, and fingers crossed that this will be working. Again, I've been adding this feature up, late last night and right before the session. We're a bit ahead of schedule.
Hey, I've got about 10 minutes before my next call. What's this idea about the sales training?
Well, we want to create some scenario-based learning.
I'm sure it's engaging, but our completion rates are already strong. What's the actual problem we're solving?
Well, we want to actually create some ROI here. So the completion rates are great, but we want to help these salespeople practice what they need to do on the job so that when they do get on the job, they can close at a higher percent.
Okay, that's a fair point. What data are you actually looking at? Are you seeing a specific gap in conversion numbers?
Yeah, I was talking to me on the sales team, and they mentioned that some of the new salespeople, they're having a harder time once they get on those real calls. And so they're talking about maybe bringing in some coaches, but availability is pretty tight. So I was thinking that if we could design a scenario-based solution like this, we could get them up to speed much more quickly and not have to pull these senior salespeople out of their role to actually coach these new hires.
That's worth looking into, but harder time on calls isn't the same as hard numbers. Do you have actual conversion data showing new hires underperforming compared to a benchmark?
Yeah, great question. So the new hires have a 18% close rate. The industry standard is 25%, and the new hires who do work with these coaches are closing at a 35% rate. So I think we could get much closer to that 35% rate with an AI-powered scenario-based solution like this.
Okay, that's a real gap. Tell me more about what you're seeing in terms of where they're falling down on those calls.
Okay, I'm going to end it. But so you see, we did it. Okay, so it works. Yeah, so the UI can be fully customized. So to answer a couple of questions, there is a whole branding section, a visual editor. So I'm going to share my screen. So check this out. There's this whole visual editor here. So I'm making it so you can basically fine tune everything. So you can change the, eventually the font too. But yeah, so you can change everything. Again, once it's done, we can provide feedback. So there's this whole evaluation tab. So once we're done with the session, we're going to get evaluated on whether we hit all of these criteria. And again, this was all generated in that 45 seconds from our initial AI prompt. But you can fine tune everything. You can add criteria, change the points, and we can actually even see our performance here in the metrics tab. So we failed because we ended it early, but we can see the average learner, the learner breakdown on each of the different criteria. So we can see, how well our employees are doing who are taking these simulations. We can see which deductions they're getting, and then we can actually click on these and see the full transcript. So we could see the feedback that would have been provided, right? But then we can also see whether they met these different criteria, either none, partial, or full. And then we can also see the full transcript here at the bottom. So I will clarify too. Okay, so there's lots of questions. So we can take a little break for Q&A. And maybe y'all could take a vote. I mean, have y'all seen enough? Do you want to kind of go into Q&A? Do you want to try to build out, add some feedback into the experience and see how that works? I'm happy to take this whatever direction. Again, we kind of did a full storyline integration a few weeks ago with the text-based mode. Okay, let's do feedback really quick. So let's see speedrun. I'll show you how quick this is to add. So we're going to go over to the publishing tab where it has that implementation guide. And we need to add these variables. So I'm going to start doing that. So I'm going to add the sim complete variable. But yeah, great questions in the chat. I really want to get to those questions. So I'm going to make some time for that. Sim complete is a true or false, false by default. It has all of this in the implementation guide. Sim eval complete is the same. Sim pass is also a true false, false by default. Make sure the capitalization is exactly how we have it in here, by the way. Sim score obviously is a number variable. So we'll make this a number, default it to 0. And then sim feedback is a text variable that is set to nothing by default. Okay, so we have those set, and that should be all we need, right? That's all. We just need to add those. We could also send these results to the LMS from Storyline, and we can publish it as a score impact. Well, yeah, if it's in Storyline, we can send it to LMS. So the performance in the sim can overwrite the Storyline tracking. Okay, so I guess all we got to do now is publish, and let's check it out. Oh, no, we don't. We need to actually make the feedback slide. Let's do that. I'm going to grab the background. Let's add, again, we're doing a speed run, so I'm just going to make this not look pretty. It's going to really kill my perfectionist self, but that's okay. The perfectionist part of me. And then I'm going to add some text. So I'm going to do a variable reference. I'm just going to reference the sim feedback variable. So that's going to display here. We can also reference the sim score variable. And we can also reference the sim pass variable to see if it was a pass or fail. The other thing we can do is, I'm just going to add a button to get to the next slide. So normally you would gate this button behind like sim. Actually, I might as well gate it and show y'all just so we can. So, you would add a button. Again, this one's going to be really ugly. It will be hidden by default. And I'm going to change the state of this button to normal when a variable changes, sim eval complete. So that's going to change from false to true. That's when we know that the evaluation is done and ready. This button will become enabled. And when we click that button, it will jump to the next slide when the user clicks it. So I went pretty fast. You add a variable reference by adding a percentage sign on each side of the variable, spelled exactly how the variable is here in your variable manager. There's also an option on the UI. You can go to insert. Where is it here? I never used the UI version. Somewhere up here, there's a variable reference. Right here? Yeah, right there, insert reference. Okay, so let's publish this. Hopefully I didn't miss anything because I do want to get to Q&A. All right, it's uploading. We copy this link. We'll open it back up over here. And yeah, I can't wait to, I'm going to clarify some stuff for y'all in just a minute. All right, let's dive right in. I'm not going to do the whole thing, obviously. I want to give enough for her to actually give us some feedback, though. Notice this pop-up that comes up. You can just minimize that, and it closes automatically when it's done.
Hey, I've got about 10 minutes before my next call. What's this idea about the sales training?
The idea is we're going to make a scenario-based solution so that we can help new salespeople convert better. So we want them to have a 35% close rate. They currently have an 18% close rate, and our sales SME said that an AI-powered scenario-based solution could bring us closer to that 35% mark without bringing in coaches.
Our completion rates are already at 91%, so engagement isn't exactly the problem. What makes you think a scenario-based approach is going to move conversion numbers when the current courses haven't?
Well, we think that if they can practice the same skills that they would actually use on the job, if they can practice in a safe environment where there aren't real consequences, that it would better prepare them for these real potential client conversations.
I hear you, but that's a pretty broad claim.
Great question, Terry. Yeah, so we also have a setting in the UI where you can turn off character speak first. So see, you could turn this off, and then when the call starts, we have to say something first. They're not going to open with anything unless there's like 10 seconds of silence. So simulation is complete. Notice this button appeared. I'm going to click on the button. Brings us to the next slide. Oh no, it tried to fit all the feedback inside of that little tiny thing right there. It says you identified the conversion gap from 18% to 35%, which was a strong start. But when Diane pressed you on why current outcomes aren't working, you repeated the same pitch about safe practice environments without offering any evidence. So really tiny. Obviously, it's because in Storyline we didn't change the text box, option to make it expand, or we could have done this. So a little oversight, but y'all get the idea. So that is how it was, and we got a 15%. So great job, everybody. So there we go. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we are going to dive into some Q&A. I saw some really good questions. I want to clarify things for y'all. Also, I should mention too, I'll just quickly share my screen again here. If you do want to join with the founders pricing, I've been offering this, a month ago. We were in a month ago, this wasn't, voice mode wasn't even started yet. So, and text mode didn't have a lot of little bugs worked out. So we've been in essentially a beta. That beta is coming to an end. So for everyone who is basically believing in the platform early before everything is live and ready, we have been offering this founders pricing for $39 a month instead of $59. So that's an option that ends tomorrow at midnight Pacific time if you're interested. But I had a lot of fun making this one. Thanks for giving me the motivation to, finish voice mode on time for you all. Definitely kind of lit a little fire under me, but let's get into some questions now. Again, my goal is to make this as easy as possible for you all to use so you can add practice like this into your existing Storyline courses. So let's see what you're wondering. Okay, I'm just going to look at the chat, so feel free to add your questions and I'll be answering all the questions I can as I scroll down. So, Sarah, how can you be confident that the advice given by the course lines up with company policy, values, etc., and that the AI voice won't say something absurd? So, what I just demoed, that's not really to serve as a coach for your learners. It's to act as a character, right? So it's going to be a character, a persona that your learner would have to actually interact with, and that person likely won't be the expert on company policy. But then the evaluation tab, that's where you as the instructional designer will outline the criteria and make sure that that criteria aligns with your company policies and things along those lines. We do have a coach mode coming. I'll have to demo that at the next one of these workshops. But that would be something more aligned with having to actually reference like knowledge-based documents and things along those lines related to your company. And we are going to add knowledge bases. So you can have like a centralized knowledge base. You can give simulation characters access to that knowledge base. We have some really interesting use cases. I've been talking to some people about how they're going to make that work. You can give coaches access to the knowledge base, which is that feature that's coming. And then also you can give the AI wizard access to the knowledge base. So you saw that AI wizard we used to create the simulation initially. That's going to be a conversational interface that you can interact with anytime in the tool. So kind of just like how you would talk to ChatGPT or Claude, you can talk to this conversational interface and it can create simulations for you. It can update simulations for you, and it can pull from your knowledge base to actually design the simulation in a way that will be powerful to help the learners practice what they need to practice. So yeah, I'm going to be building out that AI wizard much, much better. It's going to integrate really nicely with knowledge bases. Terry, is there a way to easily identify who the learner is? Yes, there are some options for that. It's not, the most straightforward one would be pulling it from the learning management system, but every learning management system provides this information in a different way. Other options are having the learner identify themselves or log in with like SSO or something for your organization. But yeah, that's not ready yet, those pieces. So for now, it is an anonymous identifier, but that's definitely something we have on the roadmap in the future. Maury, I can confirm that you are signed up. So if you go to that credits page, it will tell you that your subscription is active. Okay, Rebecca, I see we already answered that response. We will be integrating those knowledge bases. We already answered that question. So hopefully that was good. Would uploading policy cost more points? I would think yes, as it needs to incorporate all of that. Hopefully incorrect. Yeah, Chris, not really. Pretty marginal. So yeah, I would cover that infrastructure cost. So if the AI wizard needed to read a 100-page document to generate something, that would use more credits. The AI features in the tool do use credits, but when your learners are actually interacting with it, it might use a little bit more credits because the AI will pull in information from that knowledge base, the most relevant information, before it actually gives a response. But it's not like it's going to bring in the whole 100-page document. It's only going to find the most relevant piece based on where the conversation's at. Yeah, you can embed this into Captivate. I don't have an integration working where it can change Captivate variables. I honestly haven't worked in Captivate since I was a master's student, like coming up on 10 years ago now. Crazy to say. So if some of y'all have a really strong Captivate use case, let me know how that integration needs to work, and I can make that happen. Can you change the expression while answering versus listening? Yeah, I think that happened while we were talking to it. Voice mode, it looks like the character's expression can change while we're talking. But again, I need to keep iterating on that and making sure it works as planned. David, you're tied to my LLM account. Is that okay for long term? Yeah. So my rate limits and everything like that can support like tens of thousands of learners. If actually, I would say probably hundreds of thousands of learners right now. And then on the enterprise level, we are offering bring your own key. So if orgs have their own LLM gateway or their own AI model that's been approved at their org, I am going to be trying to make this work with the top 3 AI models. So Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini, or OpenAI and Google's models, just to make sure that at the enterprise level we can work with your existing stuff and not have to rely on I'm using Claude under the hood for this. So then you would bypass the credit system entirely and just use your own org's billing for these AI models. So that's an option at the enterprise level. Do both voices need to be pre-recorded, or can the responder be live? So Claire, everything was live, right? Nothing was pre-recorded for everything you saw today. Language translations, this should work pretty well with other languages across the board. We have people using it in like already in different languages. So someone sent me a screenshot of a sim built in Lithuanian. I need to like localize some of the stuff like where it says typing. I need to make sure things like that are currently in English can be easily put in another language. But right now, a lot of, all these languages that the AI models support, we can support in our tool. So yeah, very easy to localize this. Kevin, can you insert the same sim in multiple sites throughout a course so the conversation can keep going? Yes, I haven't added that yet. I do have that working for my coach feature I haven't released yet. That's a marginal update I need to make to the simulation widget. But yeah, that's something we can definitely do. So something could get triggered based off of what you're saying to the simulation, and then it could like show a cutscene basically, and then return to the simulation with all of the history. We just pick up right from where we left off. Danae, a question about pricing. You can go to devlin.ai/pricing. It gives you some more insights into how those credits are used. So again, the AI features, the credits depend on what we're generating with AI. Reginald, when using this in a corporate environment within Storyline, can we remove the branding? Yes, absolutely. So that is something you can do. So on the core plan, you can remove the branding. You get 35,000 credits every month, which is enough for about 740 text conversations on average. Could be more than 1,000, could be 500. And then you get some of those SCORM reporting features as well. So yeah, on that core plan, you can remove the branding. Definitely, you're not going to keep that on for, real companies. No, the SCORM file is minimal, tiny. So what we add to the SCORM file adds very minimal overhead. So yeah, it can load super quickly. You do not need to republish the Storyline file. So whenever you make changes in the simulation, you click Save Changes, it will update across the board. I also want to add some like version control too. So if you want to like roll back to a previous version, if something goes wrong, you can. So that's on my roadmap as well. But yeah, so you don't ever need to republish Storyline as long as all your Storyline programming is good. Frank, will the knowledge base reside in Office technical environment or reside in public file sharing services? So we would use an enterprise-friendly vector data store. So and we're on the security front too. Like we're taking that super seriously. I'm working with an auditor who can do an external independent audit. We're working with a compliance platform. So yeah, I've been moving as fast as I can, which due to the nature of some of this stuff isn't super fast. But within the next 1.5 to 5 months, we're going to have some multiple external audits in place. SOC 2 Type 1 and SOC 2 Type 2, if y'all are more familiar with what's going on that front. Danae, can you create a prompt that creates dynamic conversations with changing subjects? I was just talking to someone who needs this at their org. Theoretically, we could do that. The way I was thinking about solving that, though, is using this AI wizard that you'll be able to talk to conversationally and say, hey, I need there to be, 10 different variations of this simulation. And then it can generate all 10 of them with variations inside of a folder so that you can still go in there and fine tune it, just because we wouldn't want it to hallucinate something that, isn't approved by your team. So I was imagining more you would actually have each of those as a separate sim, but the AI wizard can create them more easily for you and update them as needed. But if that is a big demand, having it create more dynamic characters and subjects, I could potentially add that to the roadmap. I'm interested in that. Could the sim run on the master slide and be active throughout the entire course as kind of a virtual coach? Absolutely, Stefan. That's kind of the idea with the coach feature. That's why the coach feature already works across slides. So with the coach feature, you can talk to the coach while you are talking to the simulation. So if you get stuck while talking to the AI-powered character, you can pull up the coach and say, hey, I'm feeling kind of stuck. I don't know where this went wrong. And it can be like, oh, well, how do you think the character felt when you said so-and-so? Or it could be more direct too. Like, well, remember our, corporate policy, like do X, Y, and Z. Shannon, this is built off of Anthropic's models, so Claude, not OpenAI, but I will be making it work with OpenAI and Google Gemini so that orgs can use their own models. Yes. So if you signed up today, your account isn't going to stop working tomorrow, right? That's just the last day for this discount. So however many credits you have on your account, you can keep using this until those credits run out. So should be good enough. If it's a portfolio project or something like that, this should last you quite a while. You just won't be able to like turn off branding or do SCORM reporting, but those are more, real company features anyway. How many credits are used per voice interaction? So voice uses a lot more credits. Once I get this infrastructure ready to roll out at scale, it's going to use 100 credits per minute per user of voice. So not super like lightweight hobby. It does, and that's on top of like the, the more minimal credits used to generate the actual text that powers the voice. So this is much more expensive, but obviously has a much bigger impact on what that practice is going to feel like. So Holly, you're interested in integrating directly into Thinkific? That would work great. So yeah, you can use the embed mode. Like if you scroll to the bottom, there will be like a Rise embed you can use. You can actually embed that anywhere. It doesn't have to just be Rise. So you can embed that in Thinkific, like Rate Teachable, any, Kajabi, any kind of platforms like that. Savannah, the roadmap for enterprise plans. So I've been adding enterprise features as I go. We already have interested enterprise clients. We're going through security reviews and stuff. So if you're interested, get in touch with me. I have an enterprise waitlist. Again, I'm already in some of those conversations. We're already passing some security reviews. So yeah, if you're interested, we can get the ball rolling on that. And if I know your specific org's roadblocks, we can resolve them, and I'll let you know as soon as they are resolved. Frank, what type of dashboard and reporting could you see in terms of duration of conversations and scores? This is in devlin.ai right now. You might have missed it earlier. There is a metrics dashboard. We could see their transcripts. We could see how they did with each criteria. We can see their score. We can see pass fail, all that good stuff. And then in the LMS, we can report back the score, the pass fail, and the completion. And then also Storyline itself could report back the duration, but our tool doesn't handle that. Actually, I think it would. I think if it's published as a score and package standalone, it does include the duration as well. And then also at the enterprise level, we've had multiple people request Power BI export and integration, so we will be able to export this data directly into Power BI too at the enterprise level. Yes, voice mode will be included on the core plan when it is ready. So a good question, Romario. So if you lock in this, so if you join at the founders rate, when voice mode rolls out to everybody, you will have access to that. Shannon, do I think this would work with the AI avatars, like the video-based ones? I've thought about that. I haven't looked too deep into it. I think I could probably get this working with like the HeyGen video avatars. I've thought about that. I've also had multiple requests for people to be able to kind of upload, on a more simple level, upload like little profile images for the character and maybe even for the user, so that could be involved. And even in the future, let people upload their characters and character poses directly to this tool so that we don't have to use Storyline for the characters, and so that it can all be done inside of this tool. Jessica, what information can you give to IT/procurement? I have a security overview. So I have I think like around 7-page PDF security overview that I've been sharing with people right now. Again, that's been passing some security overview or some security reviews. They might need some additional information. I'm happy to hop on a call. So yeah, just send me an email at devlin@devlin.ai, and I will send you that security overview if anyone who needs that. For accessibility purposes, can live captions be embedded while the AI voice is interacting with the learner? Good idea. That is what I want to happen. It was a bit trickier, right? So I did have a version of this where it was appearing as the character spoke, like the transcript was filling out live, and that was really good. But there were little bugs, and I just kind of dropped that for now. And then also the other option is having the transcript display right when the character starts talking, so there's not that delay waiting until they finish talking. I just was worried that would be distracting for people, because then they're reading it faster than it's actually speaking. So, but good questions. Yeah, definitely accessibility updates are on the roadmap. Yeah, core plan will get access to voice mode when that does go live to everybody. Can the simulation use different languages in the same chat? I have a use case of using the simulation for practicing interpretation, for example, in the hospital setting. Definitely, Michelle, I think you could do that. I would love to see what you create. I would love to see your sim using that approach. I think that should work. I think the AI will be smart enough to handle multiple languages for sure. Yeah, Mike, you love using external stuff with storylines so you don't have to republish. I agree. It's a big time saver. How could you use this in a vocational or safety training? Good question, Amy. So I've also realized, like, I don't know how far behind I am in these questions. I've been trying to do rapid fire. I know some of y'all might need to leave right now. Thank you for hanging out here with me until the end. This has been a lot of fun for me. I'm going to try to get through every single one of your questions. So if it hasn't been answered yet, feel free to hang out. But yeah, this tool has been my baby the last couple of months. So I put a ton of time into it. And yeah, I appreciate all of y'all's excitement about it. So thanks for that. So the question about using this in vocational or safety training. So again, right now it's really the simulations are optimized for talking to a character, like practicing talking to potential client or a potential or an upset customer, a manager talking to someone they need to coach, those sorts of situations. But we also want to add some kind of, I don't know what to call it yet, but almost like a supervisor mode or like a tutor mode, something like that, where it's kind of a blend of a coach and a simulation. It's like 2 in 1, where we're basically saying like, okay, here, this machine is doing this. What do we do? Right? So it's kind of like a more traditional assessment or knowledge check thing. I don't know if I really want to add that to the tool because I like, using this more scenario-based approach, but if there is enough demand for it, happy to kind of add a third mode that can be a bridge between simulation mode and coach mode. Kelly, you'd love to see an embedded video option. Okay, very cool. Yeah, again, I think that should be very doable. Can the simulation builder have photos uploaded to create/analyze to craft the dialogue like a photo of a safety scene? Oh, interesting, Mike. I'm going to take a note of that one. I haven't thought about that yet. I know that will be possible. Whether or not it will be perfect, it's not going to be perfect, I don't think, but we could definitely have AI analyze the image and use that to help craft the sim. Yes, Nikki Ann, this is compatible with LMSs. I haven't tested it on every LMS. I've tested it on Storm Cloud and a couple of the big ones. So yeah, if it didn't work for your LMS, I would just, it's something I would definitely fix immediately. But I haven't done widespread testing, but Storm Cloud usually is a good place to test to make sure it works across the board. All right. Frank, how does the AI model evaluate itself in terms of its performance overall within the context of scoring models you provide it for Sims? So we have a master prompt that takes in your criteria. So that's something you would define in the tool, and then it takes in the full transcript that just transpired essentially. So then it evaluates the transcript against those criteria, and those criteria each have a score assigned to them that you've determined. If they get full credit, they get full points. If they get partial credit, they get 50% points. If they get 0 credit, they get no points. So good question. Let me know if you have any follow-ups. Natalie, you're creating a portfolio project and you want to include the sim you created the other day. I don't want to do so without permission. No, yeah, you're more than welcome to use it in your portfolio. The only thing to be aware of is if you run out of credits. So yeah, let me know. I think for most portfolio projects, that shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, more than, this is a tool for you all, right? That free plan is there for a reason. That's not going away. Your sim's not going to stop working unless you're fully out of credits. And that's to cover my costs for API usage. But yeah, I give everyone some free credits just so you can test out the tool, see if you want to use it, demo it to coworkers, managers, things along those lines. Thanks everyone. I'm getting to everyone thanking and leaving. I appreciate y'all being here. Holly, will I be building an option for those of you who work external? Okay, yeah, so if you're working as a consultant, so that's another interesting thing I'm getting on the roadmap. So I'm talking to some agencies who want to embed these in courses for their clients, and we're thinking through what requirements we need to work, like we can put limits on these simulations, usage limits when it's in client tools. We might even want to build clients directly and make sure the sim works external of the creators, the agency's plan. So I'm in active conversations about that right now, even like this morning before this session. So if you do have that need, if you can think of how this might work best for you as a consultant or an agency, send me an email. Let me know. We can start talking about that. But that's something I'm actively working on, yes. Nikki Ann, your call centers need to do their core function but identify safety information at the same time. Need something that can do both. Nikki Ann, I'd love to hop on a call. Like that sounds like a pretty interesting use case. I think the tool can do that already or is going in that direction. So yeah, let me know. Yeah, Maury, definitely working a lot of hours lately, but it's been very energizing. It's been the most energized I felt about work in a while. When will voice mode go live? I can't make any promises on that. The reality is I'm going to need to pay about 20 grand a year or so before I can roll this out to everybody, because on my current plan, there is a concurrency limit. So if we have more than like 20 or 30 people using voice mode at the same time, it's going to basically get throttled. I don't really want to roll it out to everybody. Yeah, so I'm waiting until I'm waiting until the growth of the tool justifies making that investment. But this is my first time demoing voice mode. It seems like there's a lot of interest. So by the end of the month, if all goes well, right, if we have a healthy subscriber base, if we have orgs ready to roll this out to real learners and they need this, that's when I'm going to pull the trigger and get it ready for everybody. So as soon as a month, I'd say as long as 3 months. What does reporting look like in the LMS? Can you fine tune what's displayed? You can display all of that, Nikki Ann. So percentage, pass fail, and completion. The response is no. We don't have a mechanism in SCORM to do that. If you're using XAPI in your LMS, I haven't built that all out yet, but we can send any data you need through XAPI. SCORM, no. XAPI, the sky's the limit. We can send everything. All right, I actually caught up to the chat. Great value for enterprise apps like ours, but 11K learners, so it has to scale. Glenn, yes. So we're talking to people with similar amounts of learners. This will work at scale. So if you're interested, let's hop on a call. Again, it might take 2 or 3 months to get everything finalized and ready, but we're building this to roll out to, hundreds of thousands of learners. So we're not putting any limits on it. All right, so thank you, everybody. I had fun. We're only 6 minutes over. Again, I think I talk faster on these Q&As than I do at any other point in my life. Thousands of learners? Yes, we can accommodate thousands of learners. No downtimes unless our sub-processors have downtimes. We're using like enterprise level infrastructure. So we're on AWS, right? So there's an AWS outage. There will be an outage with this tool, but also like half the internet is down when there's an AWS outage. This isn't running on a server in my closet or something like that, right? We're using solutions that scale to enterprise needs. All right, so yeah, if you're interested in rolling it out to teams or enterprise level, send me an email. If you want to self-serve and play around with it and build prototypes and demos for your team to try to sell this internally, again, that core plan should work really well for you. Voice mode will be coming to that. I appreciate all the support. I'll do a live event like this at least once a month. I'll keep you all updated on the progress, but yeah, Rise integration is here. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to call it now. Send me an email. I'm happy to talk about the tool anytime, and have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye, everybody.